Good morning and welcome back to Prius Passage. Long time no see, right? So I have obviously been kind of gone for quite a while. Sorry about that. I made a promise to do a lot of videos and it just kind of hit a snag when I returned home to get my dog for that short period of time. So, I'll give you guys an update on what's new with me. One thing you probably have noticed if you've seen any of my Instagram pictures lately, and as you are looking at me now, I got a new piercing. So, right there in my lip, I got that pierced. It's been pierced for about 3 weeks now. I realize it's kind of hanging really far out of my lip. They need the extra space. Well, they leave the extra space there so it has room to heal. And then eventually I'll switch it to something a little bit smaller. So all you'll really see is this ball in the middle of my lip. He told me about a month and I can change it, but I'm not going to rush it because obviously I'm on the road and the last thing I need is an infected piercing while I'm traveling. So I'm just going to leave it be for maybe 6 weeks and we'll see how it feels. So far, it doesn't hurt at all, wasn't bad at all to get it pierced. I think it's pretty cute. If you like it or whatever you think about it, comment below, let me know. Also, I redid my nails. So I have like a little cloud design on my nails, and that's not your monitor. My nails are different colors. These ones are darker than these ones. I'm about due for a fill though. It's actually been like almost 2 weeks since I did them, so I'll do something new on them real soon. If you have any ideas on what you think would be cute, let me know. I always have a hard time deciding what to put on my nails. I also got my hair redone. You can't see it because my background is really dark. It's basically the same hairstyle, but my hair is just jet black now. It used to be kind of an auburn color. I'll put a picture here of what it used to look like so you can kind of see side by side. It's just darker. That's all. No big deal. And the reason why you can't see my hair is because my background is darker. So if you notice, I used to have like a tan patterned curtain behind me. That panel was just wide enough. There really wasn't enough room. It like just fit. And then it also wasn't completely blackout. So I actually sewed these curtains at my dad's house, my dad's vintage sewing machine. I'm super proud of myself because I just YouTubed it to figure out how to do it. I mean, it was a straight stitch. It wasn't anything crazy, but I sewed these curtains, this little fringe up here. I did. You can't really see it because it's dark and I don't feel like moving my tablet for you to look at it. And the stitch looks like shit anyway. But I did it by myself and my dad was not impressed. I showed him, I'm like, look at these curtains I made. He's like, yeah, that's simple as hell. So somebody please tell me that they're amazing that I sewed curtains and that I'm an absolutely phenomenal human being for doing it because I'm pretty proud of it. So now these are blackout curtains. They're a lot heavier and they hold heat better. Like they kind of keep it warm back there better. And there's a lot more material. You can see they're kind of bunched up so it keeps more light out. And I also sewed this like fringe on top so that it kind of connects with the ceiling and it blocks more light out. Before, this used to be just like a gap up there. So I think that's all that's new with me. I've already been back on the road for a minute. I've done a little traveling. If you follow my Instagram, you've seen that. I've been through a couple states since my last video when I was at my dad's near Chicago. So this video, the reason why I'm doing this video, hopefully I'm going to keep it nice and short for you, but this is basically a question that I've been asked a few times. How do I financially support and how did I financially start this trip? So first thing, I'm going to try to be as transparent as I possibly can. I don't necessarily want to tell you guys, like, put screenshots of my bank account up here so you know, like, exactly how much money I have because I'm not trying to get robbed either. But what I can tell you is that I'm not going to bait you. Like, a lot of videos you see on YouTube, it's like, how to buy a mansion. And you're like, oh, this is great. I definitely want a mansion. You watch the video and they're like, well, my father's a billionaire, so he loaned me $1 million. And that doesn't fucking help anybody, right? Like, that's not doesn't apply to anybody. But for the most part, I think my situation will apply to some people, but there's a lot of things about me that are unique that you may be like, okay, well, that makes sense how she's able to pull this off. So first, let me give you a little background on me financially. So I worked a middle class job. Like I didn't make a lot of money and I didn't make a little money. So I can give you a number, but depending on where you live, you know, if you make $100,000 in California, it's like nothing. Whereas, you know, if you make that kind of money in a rural state, you're a millionaire. So a dollar amount isn't really going to tell you anything. So I'm not going to tell you exactly how much money I made, but I can tell you that I was absolutely middle of the road. I did not make, you know, enough money that I owned a sports car or a mansion or anything like that, but I didn't live paycheck to paycheck either. I was just absolutely, you know, right above being poor. I mean, you know, comfortably above being poor. I wasn't, like I said, rolling in the dough. So that's what I did. And I used to I work for a tactical medical supply company. So like the first aid kits that the military uses and the Secret Service uses, all those little packs and pouches that they carry, we built and sold them. That's what I used to do. I also got licensed to do nails. So right before I decided to leave on this trip, well before I even thought about this trip, I got my license to do nails. So leading up to it, I was also doing nails part time. So I had my full time 40-hour week job, and then nights and weekends I did nails. So that's what I did to make money, and that's what my financial situation was, just middle class. Um, Now, what makes this a little bit more possible for me that may be unique for other people is that I do not have any debt and I don't have any payments on anything. So I've never owned a car that I made payments on. Everything I've ever owned on my bikes, everything I bought cash. That probably says a lot to you. You're like, oh, this girl, she said she's middle class, but she's buying cars. No, I drove piece of shit cars. Like, I don't think I've ever paid more than $8,000 for a car and more than maybe $2,500 for a motorcycle. I bought, very cheap stuff. So I've never owned a new car or anything like that. So I've never had a payment. I don't have any credit card debt. I have like $8,000 in student loans that I just kind of pay a little bit. I mean, I could pay them off, but I just don't. I'm probably gonna die with that debt because I just shit wasn't worth it. Like education is a racket. So that's it. Outside of that, I don't have any credit card debt, any medical debt, any debt whatsoever. None. Zero. At the time I had my house, but then I sold my house. So my payments, like my monthly financial obligations, went down to almost zero. My cell phone, my insurance, little stuff like that. I didn't have any. I was easily able to leave all of my financial obligations because once I sold my house, I really didn't have any monthly recurring bills. It was basically whatever I use is what I paid for. Um, that is kind of like, the foundation to what makes something like this possible. If you have a lot of financial obligations, car payments, medical debt, credit card debt, student loans, you're not going to be able to just give up working for a month or two or three or more because you have to continue making these, several $100 a month payments. So you have to maintain a job. So that was probably the biggest component of allowing me to do something like this. The fact that once I sold everything, my house, my belongings, and everything else, I completely gave up any financial responsibility for anything. I don't have anything. Um, Now, in order to finance this trip going forward, not having a job, because right now I don't have an income, I do nails here and there as I feel like it, but for the most part, I don't work at all. I haven't worked in months. I ended up resigning from my job, and that was just it. So for me to be able to finance this trip going forward, first let me tell you about how much it costs me. So this is going to vary greatly. If you decide that you want to do something like this, the type of rig you drive is going to affect it. You can be in a car and live out a car like I do, or you can get, a full ass RV motorhome or a truck and a trailer, and the amount that it costs to buy that rig and then to drive it wherever you're going is going to vary greatly. What I have is a Prius and a trailer. My motorcycle trailer. I don't have like a living trailer. It's very cheap. I get 40 miles to the gallon, roughly, depending on where I'm going. And I don't have any overhead costs. I don't have to pay for a RV park or pumping out my sewage, if I was in like a motor home or any of those other costs that come with driving something bigger and more souped up. I don't have it. I'm just a car. That's it. So that keeps things super cheap for me. Um, Also, how much you drive is going to change it. I drive a lot. My goal is to travel, so I am putting on hundreds of miles a week. If you were in a pickup truck pulling a trailer that's getting, 13 miles to the gallon, or a motorhome or an RV or something like that that's getting, very few miles to the gallon, your gas costs are going to be astronomical. Mine are next to nothing. I pay $20 to fill up my tank and I fill up every 300 miles. So now my gas usage on this trip in comparison to someone just driving around a car to and from work living day to day is significantly higher because like I said, I'm putting on several hundred miles a week, if not 1,000 miles. I don't know how much. I drive a shit ton. So all of those things are going to change, your total cost. I also don't eat out very often, and I do my best to do things that are free or very near to it. And if I can get someone to pay for something for me, like if I'm in town and I meet someone and they're like, "Hey, can I take you to this?" I'll go and I'll do it because free is phenomenal when you're not making an income, because every dollar out that means that's it. I'm closer to the end of the trip every dollar that I spend. So I'm very frugal with spending money. Now, that's just an overview of cost, and how cost is going to vary for you if you decide to pursue something like this. So I just did this video. I'm trying to do it really quickly. I didn't really plan for it. So what I'll do is I'll put up a list of my expenses so you can see what I spend a month. I'm gonna guess it's somewhere around $250 to $300 a month, my total expenses, what I spend on gas, food, the whole shebang. But I'll put a list here so that you can see it once I, tally it up and figure it out, so you can see all of it right in here. But my guess is somewhere between $250 and $300 a month is what I spend to live on the road. And that's including everything, but I'll itemize it in this list here that I will have at some point floating right here. So right, so this here is my monthly expenses. Now, how do I pay this every month when I don't have a job and I don't have an income? So prior to me leaving, I did a lot of saving. So when I had my regular job, like I said, I was completely middle class, not making bank, not rolling the dough, didn't have a whole lot of money to just throw around, wasn't hitting strip clubs every weekend. But that thing that I told you that's unique for me is that I didn't have any real debt. My cost of living was extremely low. The only thing that I really paid month to month when I was, working full time, living a regular job, and I was renting my apartment after selling my house was rent and I think I paid electric and internet and gas and, just next to nothing. So my income was well above what my expenses were, just because my expenses were so low. So even though I didn't make a shit ton of money, it was far more than I was putting out every month. Most people live pretty much paycheck to paycheck. Everything that you have to pay doesn't leave a whole lot left over at the end of the month. Me, my normal baseline was, I probably 30% of my income went to my expenses and 70% went to savings and whatever else I wanted to buy. And I've always been frugal. Anyone who knows me will tell you I don't like paying shit for anything. I look at receipts. I stare at every dollar. I've always been cheap. That's the way I live. I like to save money because I do like to travel. Even prior to this, I traveled outside of the country at least twice a year. So I would save all my money and I would travel. That's what I spent money on. Outside of that, nothing. Hair, makeup, nails, shoes, clothes, car. I didn't spend money on anything. The only thing I liked to do was to travel. So that's what I did. I stocked up my money and then I'd take a big vacation out of the country. So leading up to it, I continued working and then I got even more frugal. Like once I made the decision that I was going to go on this trip, I was like, I'm saving every penny. So I stopped going out completely. So the one thing I do like to do is go out riding with friends, and we'll go out and get drinks, and we'll go out, eat dinner, things like that. The last 2.5 months leading up to it, I didn't go out anywhere. I didn't eat out. I didn't buy anything. Because I knew I was leaving. So like there was no point in acquiring any extra stuff. I just, nothing. Just stopped completely, started saving every dollar. So this is 3 months to D-Day. Then I started doing nails. Like I told you, I got my license shortly before I decided to take this trip. And I was like, all right, well, if I do nails, I'll be able to make even more income for this little trip. I'll be able to save more money. So Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, I worked my full-time job. And then 5 p.m. to like midnight every night. And then all day Saturday and Sunday, I did nails for 2.5 months straight. That was extremely lucrative. It's a cash business. I wasn't paying taxes. Don't tell Uncle Sam. But I was making bank. And at the time, this is right when Corona kind of shut all the nail salons down. So my clientele was out the door. So I was just making a lot of money. Nice little chunk of change. Part-time doing nails. Then I realized I'm making twice as much money doing nails part-time as I'm making at my day job full-time. So that's when I made the decision to resign. I was like, this is just I'm working myself to death, one, because I was literally working every second of every day outside of when I was asleep for almost 2 months. But it just would make more sense to put all of my time towards nails while I have this kind of window of opportunity, and it would give me time to prepare to leave. Because at the same time, while I'm doing all of this stuff, I'm also selling everything to my name, because I made the decision I'm not going to store any of it. There's no need. I didn't know how long I'd be gone. And a lot of it I just didn't need. I just made the decision that if I'm going to go, I'll go for as long as I can. And when I come back, I'll buy the bare minimum, whatever I need, a bed, a dresser, and move into wherever I'm moving into and call it a day. So about a month and a half to D-Day, I made the decision to resign from my job. So that's what I did. I left. and I started doing nails full time, all day, every day for almost 2 months straight. Made a lot of money. I made a nice little chunk of change. So I put all of that money into my trip fund. And I'm like, this is what's going to sustain me. And then I'll work on the road. Because, like I said, I can do nails anywhere. I have my whole rig with me here. I've done my sister's nails. I've done friends' nails. I've done, it's not a big deal. So I wasn't worried about it. So that's done. So right now we have this chunk of change from my working, and then I finished selling everything. So like I told you, I sold my home. I made a chunk of money doing that, but that all went to savings. I decided I wasn't going to touch that. Um, and I sold all of my belongings. So like my bed, my dresser, my everything, electronics. I sold my clothes, shoes, everything. If it didn't fit in this car, it got sold. So think about everything that you have in your house or your apartment right now, and if it didn't fit in this car, it all got sold, everything. So I probably made about $3,500 doing that, just selling my stuff, and that all went to my savings fund. The work money, the part-time nail money, and now my selling everything money are all going into a savings account for this trip. So I get down to the end of it. I, end my lease. I wrap up everything, close on my bank. I had like a safety deposit box. I close everything down. I completely cut ties to North Carolina so that I didn't have to, there was nothing here that I would have to come back for in the middle of the trip. And anything that was important, like my safe deposit box, the stuff that I had in there, I took up to my father for him to keep for me. So I knew it was safe no matter how long I ended up being away from North Carolina. So now that nest egg is what funds my trip for the most part. So I didn't tell you what the exact number is of what I have, and I'm not going to because, I'm not a millionaire. I can tell you that it's not like $1 million. It's no, most people would, it's not a lot of money. It's really not. It's a couple $1,000s is what I have in total. But when you put it up to only spending roughly $300 a month, that puts me on the road for quite a while, right? Like $300 a month up to, a few $1,000s puts me traveling for a good chunk of change. So, but the issue now is I have also had some extraneous expenses. So, like my trailer that I've gotten repaired 400 times, it's cost money every time that I've had to do it. I get my oil changed every 3,000 miles. I think Toyota says that you can get it done every 5 or 7 or something like that. And I do synthetic, whatever the top tier oil changes, but I do it every 3,000 miles. One reason, because since I'm pulling the trailer, my engine's working a lot harder. So I like to be sure that the oil is clean and fresh to do the best that it can do. And second part to that, every time that I get my oil changed, they normally do a full inspection of the car. So I'm very often checking all my fluids, my tires, my brakes, all that stuff, and they do that for free with every oil change. So that is what a friend of mine told me about, how he blew a head gasket because his radiator fluid had gotten low and he wasn't aware of it. And if I was just driving, for longer periods of time without checking anything, I'm more susceptible to having a major repair because something's wrong that I don't know. When my dad did my brakes, one of like the little clips in the shoe was like wedged in between it, how it shouldn't have been. And I had been driving I don't think whatever it was would have caused any problem, but I wouldn't have known it until I had that service done. So it is important to me that I have someone look at my car often because I don't really have the time or the patience for it, and I don't really know what I'm looking for anyway. So it's like a two-part deal for me. It's like, I don't know, it's normally like $50 to get the top tier oil change every 3,000 miles. And like I said, they do that 32-point inspection. So I am sure that I'm not missing anything that, may be going wrong and I don't know it. I'm driving 7,000 miles, not aware that my oil is low or my whatever is low and my engine's about to blow up. So outside of those expenses and, the little stuff that I've had to buy, I've had to, fix a trailer a few times. I had my transmission flush, which was kind of expensive. I had my brakes fully done, which was moderately expensive because I only paid for the parts. My dad did that for me. And, there's just little stuff I've had to buy and I've had to do. And like buying my part pass was $80. That was a big expense for me. I normally don't spend that much money all at one time. That's a lot of money for me. So as a whole, I have more than enough money to continue traveling. But if at any point I have a major repair, like, something significant with my engine or my transmission, or if I get sick or hurt myself and have to, go to a doctor or something, it could deplete my savings instantly. If I have any major issue. So that's why it's important to me to maintain a lot of money, not a lot, but I try to keep as much cash in that fund as possible, because if at any point something significant happens, I don't want to be stranded, in Maryland with, no money because I had to spend all my money on a doctor visit or whatever it may be. So that is, in a nutshell, how I was able to finance the starting of this trip and how I am financing continuing to travel as we go forward. I'm crossing over into month 3 now on the road, and so far it's been working out really well. I've been dotting all my I's and crossing all my T's and being super careful, like I said, about my car, saving money, not spending money when I don't have to. I've had a lot of friends send me money just to help, and that's freaking awesome. Like, I can't even express my gratitude for the people who have come through, clutch for me, and done things that they just did because they're happy to see me traveling, and that's fucking awesome. Thank all of you people who have done that for me. So I initially wasn't my initial hope for this trip was to be on the road for a month. I was like, if I can make it 30 full days, I'll be happy. I'll feel accomplished. I'll feel like I did what I was going to do, because I didn't know how much money was going to cost. I told you guys previously I didn't plan at all. I just gave up everything and left. So now, as we're coming into month 3, I'm just elated. Sorry, y'all. It's freezing ass cold. I don't know if it looks like it, but normally I'm just like wearing a sports bra, but it's cold as shit. Last night it was like 29 degrees where I am, and it was cold in the car, let me tell you. But I have a heated blanket, a bunch of stuff back there, so it's fine. So I'm like, to be here at this point, I'm like, I'm gonna try not to cry, because y'all know I cry at everything. I'm so emotional. I cry all the time. Anything. Sometimes I look at trees and I'm like, man, that tree's got so many leaves, y'all. so, so I'm gonna try my hardest not to cry. But seriously, coming into month 3, I did not think for a second that I would have been doing this for this long. And I also would never have thought that I would have enjoyed it so much. Me not being an outdoorsy woman, people know that I've said it before, I don't do the sun, I don't do bugs, I don't like the outside, I don't like to be too hot, I don't like to be too cold. So I'm really surprised at myself how much I've enjoyed the struggle that it's been being homeless for 3 months. But now it's like almost a way of life for me. At this point, I've said it before, I don't know if I'm going to be able to go back to working a regular job and living in a house or an apartment and having bills and responsibilities, because this has just been so freeing and amazing, and I've seen some absolutely beautiful things, and I've been to some beautiful places, and I've met some beautiful people. So I mean, I'm happy with it. So who knows, maybe in the future I'll be looking for a plot of land so I can continue living out of my car and just working sometimes and traveling all the time. Like, that's the goal. But I need a refrigerator, because my cooler, dealing with this thing, y'all, it's not a good time. Maybe I can start a GoFundMe for a mobile cooler. So if y'all want to donate to the cooler fund, just let me know, and I'll buy a refrigerator and I'll continue traveling with a refrigerator. So I was trying not to make this video too terribly long. We're about 20 minutes, so I'll try to wrap it up. I think that I've included everything that I've been asked. If I have missed anything, comment below, let me know, and I'll comment back to you, or I'll include it in the next video if that is what I do. Going forward, I'll do my best to try to do a quick video at least weekly, and now I'm kind of like more in the groove here, so I should be able to keep up. I'm gonna do my best, y'all. It's a lot. I'm only one person. Okay, it's just me. I don't have an editing team. I don't have any PR people. I don't have a personal assistant. So, so you get what I have time to do. So I'm going to get out of here. Thank you all so much for coming back for another video, continuing to follow me. Keep watching my Instagram. Keep watching my videos. I'll keep doing my best to watch them. And I didn't say so, but you guys all look lovely. I haven't seen you in a while. Have you lost some weight? You're looking really good. Your skin's very clear. So I'm going to get out of here. I have to get on the road. It is getting late, and I have a very important stop today. You'll see it soon. You might be surprised by it. We'll see. Just a little excitement to keep you going. And I'm going to get out of here. I'll see you guys in the very next video. Hopefully it's not as long as this one, and hopefully it doesn't take as long as this one did. So I'll see you guys then. All right, bye.